body was given to the MPs, and any following investigation will be conducted by the CID Darmstadt. He realized that there's blood in...
I kind of want to just play your role for a little bit.
The fluid,
Spinal
fluid. Okay, cause of death, natural death, due to blood inside the brain. Okay.
Yeah, hemorrhage. Is it unusual for the doctor to go to the place of a death, or
No,
they always go?
They always go.
Okay.
Every accident, the German law says there must be attended by a doctor, and he has to give his medical exam.
Okay.
And there was no foul play. That's why they quit investigations.
Okay.
Hey, Michael. How are you? I'm back. If I never go to Germany again, it'll be okay. All I could think about as I watched these German men marching in this parade on Saturday was what they were doing in 1942. Yes, exactly. Or guarding somebody who I knew. Yes. Sunday, we first interviewed Barbara. Yeah, there were a couple of things that she said that, you know, if they're true, are troubling. She claimed that there was a lot of blood all around the stairway and the bottom of the hallway, you know, when Liz was lying there. And Patty says that that's just not true. There's no indication of that in any of the police reports. But she, you know, was very firm about that. You know, blood on the wall, blood underneath the stairs. You know, she told me she had been cleaning blood up for, you know, weeks afterwards.
This guy is totally guilty. I can't believe that. I mean, just the way he comes off. He seems like such a douche.
All right. On the exhumation, apparently Holland told Barbara in an email to her, told her that they were exhuming Liz's body. Right now, we're just basing it on what Barbara told us that Holland told her, and I don't want to.
Right. What I would like you to do then is talk to Hardin and say, Jim, we don't personally have any objection, although, again, you know, what's the fucking grounds? Can people just go dig up graves?
What Holland claimed was that they had permission from Liz's mother and sister.
Well, aren't the closest relatives, and again, I don't want to get in a pissing contest, but what about their daughter?
I don't know. You know, that it may be ugly and it may be terrible, but the bottom line is it's going to end up you know,
no, I understand that.
If everything is as we think it is, it's going to help us.
I know, but normally, look, I mean, I've seen enough dead bodies and corpses and graves that it doesn't, you know, I have no moral problem with this, but, you know, again, as I wrote you, Liz was a very good friend of mine. And
this guy totally killed both people.
Since George died in, Jesus, you know, the Grenada invasion in 1981, 21. I mean, these people have gone through an immense amount. And it's just, I just don't know.
Dude, shut up.
Margaret and Martha would think, oh, by the way, your Aunt Margaret decided to dig up your mother just because. And I'm like, oh, Christ.
It's not
so
just
if you
because
could work
you
it out
moron.
with Harland or Hardin, look, so that I won't tell the girls, but before they do it, I'm certainly going to have to tell the girls. And you might say, you might also, Jim, want to talk to the girls. You know, the sister's one thing, but the daughters are another matter. And
I really don't. I don't want to get into that.
Okay.
I don't want to get into a pissing match with Hardin over who did they get permission from and who should they have gotten permission from. That, I mean, that's just a battle that A, I don't want to fight, and B, we're not going to win.
Right, but I mean, I guess now we're strictly talking the law here. Can people just go dig up graves? You know, it's one thing when they go in on Holland and go swabs Kathleen's vagina at Howard and Bryan. I mean, now we're talking, you know, that's macabre and sick. They go in there after Kathleen's autopsy, 2 days later, she's in there, they all rush into her body, and we're doing that, which was disgusting. And now we're digging up a body. I don't like it. I don't, but I mean,
Mike,
I understand it. So just work it out with Hardin that at least
Let me-
I can notify Margaret and Martha that their mom's going to be dug up.
Bienvenidos a la catedral de las mejores batallas del Nexo. La arena está
Yeah, totally.
de bote en bote y arrancamos.
Totally.
Morning, morning, morning.
Do not speak to me, demon. We'll settle this when the battle is over.
Faltan 10 segundos.
Just nearby. Yeah. I'm so happy to see you.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Que se llame Lucía para que le digan lucha.
Now is the
Oh my
time.
God, my attorney, Jesus. 11? Nope. David! Oh, fine. What's up? Go ahead. Well, that's what I thought. I thought that was the whole purpose behind him calling me. Preserve the body.
There is no power stronger than hope.
So the expectation
Time
that
to
she's
take
going to
a
look
stand.
exactly like she was when she was married. Well, that's what I thought. Yeah, I mean, you know, she was buried in her wedding dress.
Fuck.
1, 2, 3, sexy.
That was David saying that the exclamation is probably going to be, you know, she's going to be perfectly
Ancient
preserved.
shrines
By the light.
awake. Control them and let loose the Dragon Knight.
Horrors of other things, of
Well, I
course.
think we did, but I mean,
is
that's the
much
whole
to
idea
do.
behind
Light, guide my
embalming
hand.
and having these, you know, sealed coffins and then a vault in there so that, you know, you're preserved forever.
I think when Margaret was visiting with me, we had a very good visit. And we sat down and we talked for many hours.
Hurry, activate the shrines and the dragon's power is yours.
For fears. And with your trial approaching closer and closer, I think everyone's anxiety is growing more. When we were in Frankfurt, I took her up to the wonderful, lofty building from which you can view all of Frankfurt. And she
Now is the
developed some
time.
severe anxiety about that. And obviously, this is all related to her feelings. You, the father, you are her profound father figure, obviously. But I think that her anxiety is perhaps increasing
You will go
somewhat
no further.
because she does not want to suffer another loss. And we touched very
Now is
briefly
the time.
on the explanation of her mother. I did not use that word. I didn't use necessarily an epithet, but I didn't want to use that word directly. But this, I feel, will be a very profound and certainly life-disturbing
Light,
event
guide
for her.
my hand. This realm needs our help.
Elige un talento.
Too overwhelming. It was the most horrible thing in the world. I don't know. It was like
I will protect
my worst
my people.
nightmare when I was little.
There
you
is
know, you'd
still
have
much
nightmares
to
of
learn.
like your mother, your parents coming back alive, and like what they would look like, you know, and just typical like childhood nightmares. And it was like it was coming true. My worst nightmare in the world coming true. It's horrible.
The prophet
And the
still
fact that we had
guides
to
us.
sign it too was again traumatizing, you know. We had to sign this sheet that would release our. I would have them
Ahí
forget where
está.
mother
¡Qué poder!
examine the body. It's horrible. It's the most
The
horrible
light will
thing I could
protect.
have imagined.
It is time to take a stand.
My first gut reaction was no. No way, no chance in hell. I'm not gonna let this happen. But then I sat down and thought about it and
I will
realized that,
protect my people.
you know, and Dad didn't even
You
talk to us
inspire
about it.
me,
He just
healer.
told us, you know, that, asked us basically whether it was okay with us. And when I talked to Martha, I just realized that we had to.
Take a
I mean,
stand.
obviously,
Now is the
it would
time.
show that Dad didn't do anything. You know, it would give even more proof to the fact that Dad is innocent of everything.
You inspire me, healer.
Last trip, there's Raptor. Name the
I
key.
will protect my people.
It was in a hearse. She had written a note. The first. She died in 1985. She had been transported from her home where she died to the hospital for autopsy. Then there was a first ride from the hospital to the airport for her return to the United States.
This realm needs our help.
And what presumably was her last hearse journey. From the mortuary to the grave.
There is still much to love.
However, 18 years later, she made another trip. This one, a 1,200-mile journey across Middle America in the Pacific. Traveling from her grave to North Carolina for another autopsy.
Faith has seen me through. The prophet still guides us.
What they're looking for, really not sure. The woman's been buried for 17 years. The autopsy, the investigation, everything that was conducted back in Germany ruled that it was an accident. She had a cerebral hemorrhage. This is crazy, absolutely crazy. Disturbing a woman after 17 years for some wild guess, I guess. We're not concerned about it because we know what happened. We're disturbed that they feel it necessary to exhume the body and disturb her peace.
You will go no further.
The two girls, Martha and Margaret, are pretty well disturbed about it.
The light will protect us. Light, guide my hand.
A little bit farther down. All right.
Now is the time.
Okay.
I will fight until the end.
Talento, talento, talento.
You will go no further.
Oh, the flat headstone? Okay. I think I see it right here. There's 4 stakes in the ground.
The
Who's
prophet
buried next
still
to her,
guides
George?
us.
Okay.
Be judged by the light. My faith drives me. It is time to
I
take
don't
a
think there's
stand.
many people who
They
can
were
actually.
married for a very short period of time. They've been laying together here side by side for 17 years. And now they're going to move
The
her out.
light will protect us.
I know that captain would raise hell. This is crazy.
The burden is mine to bear.
Your foes shall be ash.
You will go no further.
Stop that fool.
I will protect my people.
No one's stopping us.
There is much to do.
Cayó ese héroe.
You will
Nice
go
job.
no further.
Fuerte enemigo derrumbado. I shall not return to that ground.
The light will protect us. Guide my hand. This realm needs our help. Light, guide my hand.
You are a fine warrior, my friend.
We do not feel to. One. The DA thinks there's enough similarities between the two deaths that they've had Elizabeth Ratliff's body exhumed from the chapel.
It is magnificent watching you fight.
3, 2, 1. The DA thinks there's enough similarities between the two deaths that they've had Ratliff's body exhumed from a cemetery here in Texas and brought to the medical examiner's office in Chapel Hill.
Remain vigilant.
The shrines are gathering power. The dragon light calls from within the sky.
The light will protect us.
Ratliff's body will be guarded the entire time it heads back to Chapel Hill. That vehicle will be followed by Durham investigators, and even when they spend the night in Alabama tonight, there will be guards looking over the body. She's expected to be back here, I can't say she. 3, 2, 1. Now you got a long drive back.
We have a very long drive back.
I will protect my people.
No.
Well.
Ready?
You cannot break me!
It's in great shape. Great shape. We didn't know what to expect, but things went well. Things went very well.
The prophet's faith was not misplaced. The light will protect us.
¡Qué talento el de estos luchadores!
You will go no further. This realm needs our help.
Up till the death of Kathleen, I really didn't know who Michael Peterson was, other than being a writer. And a military veteran. I didn't know him personally, didn't know his character. Who could do something like that? Somebody that's got a very, very bad temper. Talking with witnesses and some of Elizabeth Ratliff's family members. He's got a very bad temper. A lot of people that I interviewed said they were the perfect couple. I wish I had a husband like that. But going back to the materials that we found in his computer and in his home, he was not a happily married man, Kathleen Peters. Hey, everything went well. The vault intact, as well as the casket. We're in Louisiana. No. The casket has not been opened. We're not touching that. No. That'll be open Wednesday.
The prophet still guides us.
Anyway, I'm very optimistic about what the fight is going to be Wednesday. That was Elizabeth's sister. Rhode Island.
Sounded like someone typed something.
I am thankful you are here.
Más vale que los rudos se la cobren.
Stay.
Estos luchadores se dieron con
Jeez. I don't think I should have died there.
Power gathers within the shrines. Unleash the dragon's wrath.
Why wouldn't you run over the...
I expect him to be found guilty of killing his wife.
By the light, I have returned.
And I think after the autopsy tomorrow, people will
There is
have
much to do. It is time to
issues,
take a
I think,
stand.
with the result of that as far as his involvement with the death of Elizabeth Rattler.
The dragon shall rest no longer. Unleash its power.
You will go no further. I will protect my people.
Oh.
You will go no further.
I shall reduce you to cinder.
They could have had that autopsy done in Texas. We suggested that they do it in Texas with a neutral forensic
I needed
pathologist, and there are some world-class forensic pathologists there in Texas who could have done that. Instead, what the prosecutors did was they spent thousands of dollars transporting her body 1,200 miles from Bay City, Texas to Chapel in order to allow Deborah Rattler, who had already concluded that Kathleen Peterson's death,
It is mine to bear.
to perform the autopsy on Elizabeth Rattler.
Why would you run back in? Why didn't you just run away?
I must never rest. The prophet still guides us.
Boy, is that ever incendiary, right? Oh, Jesus Christ.
What is this guy talking about?
Elige un talento.
That's just an outrage. That's just a fucking outrage.
There is still much to learn.
Hey, how are you? We just got their autopsy report.
I
Give me your
think
fax
we are
number so I
here.
can fax it to you.
We do not fear.
Yes, ma'am.
The burden is mine to bear.
I'll fax it right now, and then I'll call you back.
I felt like I was stunned forever there.
We just got the autopsy report.
And I...
Can I fax it to you? And the press is trying to unseal this thing. So I need to talk with you soon.
Nice.
Okay.
Soon the shrines shall awaken, heroes.
We should invite these
Hey, Barrett,
mercenaries
I
to
got
join
this
us.
autopsy on this Germany thing. As soon as you take a look at it, would you call me? Well, they conclude that these injuries were as
That
a
hero
result
must
of a
be stopped.
homicidal attack. So I need for you to take a look at this. They call bugs about this. Jesus. I mean, how many photos have we read?
Free the Dragon Knight and slaughter your enemies.
Hi, is John Butts around, please?
The prophet's faith was not misplaced.
Thank you. Dave Rudolph. I've got a question for you. I've read 260 autopsies from blunt trauma to the head, and never once did I see any of your people say the inflicted trauma is clearly from a homicidal assault.
Okay.
All right. Well, could you call me back after you get done? Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks.
A fine kill. I am thankful you are here. The Naru have not forgotten.
I just know that my mom died in '85. I think it was the winter of '85, and I know that she died of a brain hemorrhage. She had been having many headaches before. I mean, many people have said this, that she called her mother complaining of headaches. She hated doctors. Like, I don't like doctors either. Neither does Martha.
Time to take a stand.
So she didn't want to go see
There is no
told her to go. She basically died before she ran to the bottom of the stairs. And I think it's interesting, you know, that they both were on the bottom of the stairs, but at the same time, two things they were on them besides being my mother. Dad loved them very, very, very much. And he would have never, ever hurt either of them. So I think that's what they have in common more than anything malicious. So...
The autopsy report released this afternoon details how this woman died more than a decade ago. The Ratliff autopsy report says her fatal injuries appear to be the result of several blows to the head. Injuries have happened while Ratliff was
still is
alive.
carrying hard.
The conclusion? Those injuries came from a homicidal assault.
That's inflammatory. That's not a doctor. That's what a jury determines.
Now the Peterson defense team hopes this report will not prejudice potential jurors.
All right, it gets curiouser and curiouser. You can read the entire autopsy report on our website at abc11tv.com.
I've had one of my biggest fuckings in court ever. The judge unsealed all this stuff. This new autopsy is, the headlines tonight are homicidal assault. Just outrageous.
There is much
Anyway,
to do.
I think I'm going to need to call these people as witnesses, though, on Wednesday, and I think I'm going to need your presence here to help me cross-examine them. Yeah, and we're going to have to, I'm going to have to question them vigorously, I think. Yes, I want you to be there when he testifies. So
Time to take a stand. The light will protect us.
But if this is admitted the way it stands, the one that we got from the Chapel Hill
Dragon Knight.
will that hurt your case?
Well, keep in mind, it's not going. This doesn't get admitted. Somebody's going to have to get up on the witness stand and testify, and that's really the current procedure. What gets released to the state right now is simply a one-sided. We haven't had a chance to ask any questions. I think that's part of the
Activate shrines.
put into the
Take
news
the
media,
Dragon Knight's power.
is, a fairly inflammatory statement that is completely unnecessary to the autopsy findings, and was just sort of gratuitous. I don't blame you guys. I mean, it was put in there because that's exactly what you guys would gravitate
I will protect my people.
Those aren't really lined up the way.
They're not anything like Kathleen.
Now they are, interestingly enough, mainly curved in some way. I don't know the significance of that. This one are depicted as curved. This is kind of curved with a split.
Right, and Kathleen's are.
And that's really.
It's almost like something.
Right. No, I don't know what causes curvature.
There is no power stronger than hope.
I don't think Kathleen's have that kind of consistency.
Let's get her. Let's get her autopsy.
This realm needs our help.
That's the same.
The truth is, these are spread out more. So you've got the top of the head, you've got here, you've got the left. You know, you've also got bruising on the back and neck. Right? Immediately you take the phone ball.
Remain vigilant.
The top, I mean, how do you bang somebody in the top?
Well, that's why they have to say it's either or.
Right, except one. I mean, they admitted that scientifically. So it could have been caused by the head hitting the surface.
You know, this is supposed to be a signature thing. You know, there's supposed to be some way in which these are similar. How does one, other than the fact that they're both found at the bottom of stairs?
My faith drives me.
No, I am not finished.
Go for the core! Be judged by the light.
That worked.
You get a false impression, I think a misleading impression.
I will protect
I was
my
surprised I saw the
people.
photographs. How close together they were.
Those look like
You will go no further.
We're gonna win, yay!
or crescent-shaped things from some sort of instrument. When you look at the photographs, I don't get that impression at all.
Stay alive.
My faith.
What's Hullstorm?
Yeah, looking at the sketch, the pictures, that's the record. The sketch is just simply that, but I don't think they truly reflect very well what is in these pictures.
Ugh.
Here, the correspondence, I mean, if that's what they're relying on to reconstruct and to draw conclusions on, this is very misleading.
The diagram is very misleading.
Because these look like they're linear, curvilinear, and simple. These are not simple. They're very complex. And when you do this sort of thing, what sort of impacts produce scalp lacerations like that?
Yeah.
Probably not blows. I mean, what instrument would do that?
I see.
These are more, I think, more characteristic of impacts where the skin just splits.
Right.
Well, the hearing tomorrow on Ratliff, I think, is probably the most important hearing, may very well be the most important day in court that we have in this entire case. I think that the evidence about the death in Germany, if it comes in, will have a substantial impact, even subconsciously, on how the jurors evaluate the evidence in this case, even though there's not a shred of evidence that Michael had anything to do with Elizabeth Ratliff's death. The mere fact that it comes in evidence will have an impact. So my view is that if we win the motion tomorrow and keep the Ratliff evidence out, because it's not relevant. This is not a technicality. Because it's not relevant and because the state can't show that it's relevant, we will have a very good chance of this trial because the rest of the evidence, I think, is pretty minimal. Well, what we've done is we've subpoenaed their witnesses. We've subpoenaed Deborah Radish and some of the other doctors who have done the autopsies. And we want to put them on the stand and force them to do more than just give their bare conclusions. Their reports are very bare bones. What we want to do is we want to get them on the stand and be able to ask them the hard questions that they don't address in their reports to show that the basis of their conclusions is simply flawed. This is the kind of evidence that can really prejudice and taint a trial unfairly. It's the kind of evidence that courts have traditionally said you just don't let in.
In my opinion, the 85 death,
victory awaits us.
If the state tried to introduce evidence of that in the court, it could come in any number of ways for which I will listen to arguments about. Has the state filed a motion to have the court consider Miss Ratliff's death.
We are not opponent of that evidence at this point, and will not be until the court actually is involved in this trial and begins hearing evidence of all of it.
Judge, our ally is in 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, you sat there and agreed
The Naru have not
that
forgotten.
this was an issue, particularly Ratliff.
It is an issue.
That has to be decided before jury selection for very good reasons.
I'm not aware of any law that the court can direct the state to do that. I mean,
Now is the time.
I'm not sure there's North Carolina state law that the court can order the state to do that.
I don't think you can order them to do that. What you can do is say, if you don't file the notice and have the hearing today, you're not going to be allowed to introduce that evidence because it's prejudicial to the defense.
There is no
Let's just look at this
stronger than
from a practical perspective. If I don't know whether or not that's coming in, I've got to assume it is. And therefore, I'm going to spend lots of time in opening statement talking to the jurors about that, finding out what they think, and talking about the facts and all of that stuff. So now, all of a sudden, Mr. Hardin says, well, Judge, I'm sorry, we're not going to introduce.
Guide my hand.
All right. Now, what, are you going to instruct the jury to disregard everything that I said in my opening statement? How is that? How are you going to instruct them to disregard what I said and have me maintain my credibility with the jury that is deciding my client's life?
I believe, frankly, it would be ineffective assistance of counsel for you not to deal with it, whether the evidence is admissible or not, because it's out there. The news media spent 3 or 4 days using the same footage of the exhumation down in Texas. It's still going on up until this morning, which raises another question about all of these interviews that Mr. Ruloff likes to give to the media about the evidence.
My clients wanted this trial to proceed for a long time. The DA delayed that exhumation months. Now, 2 weeks before or 3 weeks before trial, he decides to go ahead with an exhumation. And that is simply unfair. He did it intentionally.
Heroes.
He did it knowingly. He stands here and talks sanctimoniously about how I'm talking to the press in response to a medical examiner's report.
I knew you were going to bring that.
Yeah, that gratuitously uses the term homicidal attack or assault. And I'm supposed to sit back and allow my client to be prejudiced by that.
The Naru have not forgotten.
And by this show that he's put together, and just sit back and do nothing.
The court declines Mr. Ruloff in his discretion to determine the admissibility of the death of Ms. Ratliff
We are blessed by the
today.
light.
And pre-trial, court in its discretion will rule on its admissibility and offer by the state of North Carolina as evidence in this particular case.
You know, I subpoenaed all 3 medical examiners and was prepared to cross-examine all of them. Today. So why is it that it's okay
You will go no
for them to write reports that have conclusions like homicidal assault, and yet not have to get up on a witness stand today?
What is his sexual preference?
What is whose sexual preference?
Mr. Hardin's? Mr. Hardin's.
Oh, I don't know what Mr. Hardin's is. You know, would you really expect it? What's your sexual preference? Come on, you know, come on.
Oh, your guy's on trial, I'm not.
Well, we can change that. No, Estes, I'm not going to answer those kind of questions.
Okay.
Light, guide my hand. I will protect my people.
You want to sit in the dining room or out here? Wherever. Yeah, go out.
Light, guide my hand.
Where the hell is the silver?
Much to do.
On the right. In one of the top bottom. I keep the hot pads and the other stuff on top.
Keeps it right underneath the cover with the bloody fingerprint.
There is no doubt in my mind that those two guys knew exactly what was going to happen before that hearing started. I mean, the little speech that Orlando did at the beginning, you know, Harden, it was, you know, he didn't say to Harden, all right, well, you know, what are you talking about? You know, we're here for a hearing.
The prophet still guides us.
You know, what do you mean you don't think we ought to go forward? I mean, on Monday we sat here for all day talking about whether this hearing should be closed or not. You didn't say anything then.
I just don't understand that. I mean, what's in it for Judge Hudson?
You will go
There's got to be a political payoff somewhere. I don't know what it is, but there's something in it.
I'm tired of your petty squabbling.
There's something. Maybe there's a blowjob.
Earn my favor.
I mean, do you have any doubt that this was collusion?
Me is me.
No, it was just choreographed. It was just completely choreographed.
I've been in front of prosecutors with lots of prosecutors in lots of situations. And I've got to tell you, I have never, ever seen something like that before. Never.
I don't think David, and I don't think Tom, you know, believe me, or anybody from the beginning, but when I said, this isn't Chapel Hill, this isn't Raleigh, this isn't Charlotte, this is Durham. It's unique, it's particular, it's dirty, it's corrupt, it's small. You know, I don't think anybody knows this town better than I do, and
This guy is such an
and I
idiot.
told you guys from the beginning.
No, you did.
That this is it.
I had a personal relationship with Orlando for years, and it never got through to me that it could affect him personally in that way.
Yeah, I just find it
Shall we see who gathers enough tribute this time?
So,
the Rattler stuff is coming in after this. The gay stuff is coming in after this. All right? So we've got to deal with it no matter what.
You can almost turn this into a challenge to the DA. We don't know whether it's coming in or not. Do we think it's a joke? But these are the reasons why, if he lets you get into that. If it brings it in, we'll talk about it then. Then when it doesn't come in, you look like a hero. You look like you're real funny.
Freeze the blood in your
I will never bow to you.
The moral support here is very important. You know. This is going to be a long and arduous drive. Oh, it is. I just want you to...
He's only got one, Kenny.
I'm sick.
There is no point.
Make these comments, but you're the one who's going to prison.
Guide my hand.
It's coming in. It's coming in, and that's a given, and that's
There
a
is no
something.
power stronger.
If that's the given.
My presumption right now
Your time is over.
is that I'm going to take on the Rattler. I'm gonna, in some way, present to the jury that it's not fair to try this stuff in the media. It's not fair. It's not our way to dig up bodies, to that doesn't satisfy anybody's burden of proof. The only way you satisfy a burden of proof is by bringing in the witness.
The bar of reason that has been raised is significant. Instead of being there, so they can say, oh, well, they didn't prove this, or there's alternative things. With this coincidence.
I think we're done. You know, this was important for you all to be part of, so that you know what my okay. In terms of look and dress and you're
Enough. The curse is over.
to look neat, to look rested. If you need to take about because you know what? You're not going to be needing to do anything other than sort of zone.
Right, well, that's what I don't have any bags.
Well, you know what?
No.
They're
going to be hard to hear. And if somebody says, well, we think he's absolutely guilty and why aren't they seeking the death penalty? You're not going to, yeah, you're not going to swing daggers, which is like
until the end.
No, and you know, the truth is, if somebody says that, the subliminal message, the body language message needs to be, thank you for being that honest.
The other thing is, because of the Ratliff thing, it's very important for Martha and Margaret. I hope they're here for the whole trial.
Yeah, I mean, that worked out really nicely.
Because people have said, and they opened it to question, and one of the reasons they think you might not be guilty or that you have doubt is that he is proclaimed as innocent, his lawyer is fighting saying he's innocent, and his family is sticking by him.
I will freeze the blood in your...
We were doing
this realm needs our help.
corporate exercises with the executive staff where you're supposed to know something personal about yourself. It's team building is what it is. So one guy got up, actually a very good friend of mine, since left the company, but he said, you know, I always wanted to be a lawyer. That was really what I wanted to do. Then I found Jesus, and I realized that being a Christian and being a lawyer are completely incompatible.
Gather tribute or face my curse. The choice is simple.
I do not fear you. Remain vigilant.
So you mean I really got to shut my mind off now? Basically, it's too much.
You will go
Video
no
game.
Don't stare at the jury.
This realm needs our help.
Don't stare at the jury.
For the swarm.
Because it looks like you're soliciting them. They'll be looking at you a lot. That's what they have to remember. They're assessing your behavior and conduct. They form opinions about how you behave.
The light will protect us.
Saddam Hussein double.
Light, guide my hand.
I could sit in a dark, quiet room for 2 months. You know what they used to say that was a test of a man. You could go, you could lock a man up in a dark room.
May the light redeem you. I will fight until
With
the
nothing to
end.
read, nothing to do, nothing. Just his own thoughts. That was Garrett's test. And hell, I hate that. I think, no, he needs to rethink that. Go test of a man to be able to sit there and listen to Jim Hardy and Orlando West.
My faith drives me.
Shall we see who gathers electric?
61 to 72.
No había visto una lucha así en mucho tiempo, señores.
And then I'm going
Tiene
to
que
go
ser la
through
pelea de la noche.
a
¿Qué
whole
dijo?
long thing about the
Del
relationship.
año.
And I'm going to take them back to 1988, and 1989, and 1992, and 1997. And then I'm going to say, and together, they built a family out of the various strands of their prior families.
Oh, this guy got on
Now,
board.
Hold on. I don't want to have that bar up there because it's going to distract them from what I'm saying. Can you just keep it black screen until I go to your cue and then pop up with the picture?
Right, you want the picture first, so that when they go. Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to the black screen. What is that thing in the middle there?
That's just a default bar that doesn't have to show at all.
I don't want to show.
Okay. I can't get rid of it right now, but I'll
Okay.
get it.
Yeah, let's get rid of the bar.
Yeah.
Okay? And what I'd like to do is, when
It's just my telephone. Sorry.
when I say together, they built a family out of the various strands of their prior families. Caitlin, wait till.
Yeah, but I want to get a black screen.
Yeah, that's right. I want to go black screen. Okay, can you turn it on before I even get up to speak, and then go to black screen so we don't have to see that thing again?
Blacker, do you mean this? You want that without this?
Can you lose that?
Yes, I can lose it. I can't
Yeah.
lose it right now.
This is
Okay,
a terrible
what I'm saying
documentary.
is-
It's so
Yeah,
stupid.
Can you just go? Can you lose the whole thing so it's just a black screen and then it goes to the picture and then
Yes,
it goes back?
but it
to
looks
black?
like that.
Yeah, that's all I want.
Okay.
And then the next picture comes up. When I say together they built a family out of the various strands of their prior families, yeah.
I'm leaving. Do you all need anything?
No, we're great. Thank you very much.
Good night.
Out of the various strands of their prior families, put it up.
Okay, so they have something to look at.
Exactly.
Yep.
We can see that the laceration on the left, the V-shaped one, is consistent with that corner. The last... The last impact that you saw on that.
We've got a little situation going on. We've got smoke in the building downstairs.
Okay.
So we may want to, if you can wrap it up today, how much longer do you think you're going to be? We may have to do an evacuation.
Okay.
We don't know yet. We haven't found it yet. We're looking for it.
Okay. Well, if we have to evacuate, we're just going to have to, we'll do our best, but just let us know. All right?
Just wanted to.
I appreciate it.
You got fire department here, so.
Okay, thank you. The bottoms of her feet were covered in blood. And how do we know that? There's a photo of it.
Do you want it right now? You
Yes.
want to prepare them for it?
No, no, no. Well, that doesn't work. That doesn't
You
work
got this
at all.
one? Oops.
No.
I understand. If one is off, then they're all going to be off. And then I can
This
put
is
them in proper
how
order.
it needs to be. It's,
I do understand
it's
that.
right there.
I know that. I know what I did wrong. I was doing it on the fly before we started this. I know what I did wrong. I made an error when I loaded them in. Right now, where
This
I am right
system sucks. Because I've done it with presentation group, and I had none of these problems. None. 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 And I am fucking pissed. Because it's 7:20 the night before my opening, and you're fucking around with this.
one of these documents is apparently out of order. I just don't know. I cannot give you the documents in the order that you want them. All I can do right now is go through them. I guarantee you.
No, I don't want to guarantee.
They will be there.
I want to see it on the screen. So I don't give a shit if we're here all fucking night.
Well, I'm not sure that they will be either. I think so, but I don't know.
Huh. I don't feel bad for that guy. Well, what's my win rate with Euro now? It's bumped up 45. Okay.
This case is no more and no longer about Kathleen. The DA has to win. That's it. He doesn't care how. And basically, but by the same token, my lawyer, they want to win. Truth is lost in all of this now. Truth is of no meaning whatsoever. This has become a show, and it has got its own momentum, and we're just going along. I don't think...
I do not like this guy at all.
All he wants to do is win. And I understand that. I mean, sure. In the same way with David. He wants to win. Well, I want to win too, but I'm still very concerned about the reality of what happened that night.
This guy's just a fucking liar.
Hey guys. Where's Mike? What's that? Okay, I'll wait. Be nice, be calm. Yeah. You all right?
Yeah.
Pretty good. How you doing?
Yep.
Nah, Mike.
Okay, you want me to get that, Dave?
What's that?
You want me to get that?
All right, Chris, we're going to see if you can beat us upstairs now.
We got a crew on that.
Yes. Hey. Oh, okay. All right, that's fine, that's fine. All right, Hart.
See you up there, buddy.
Run up now. I want to see you as I get out the elevator.
Are you not challenged?
Come on. Start with the 911. And then after the
last headshot, and then turn the, get the movie ready.
Right.
After the third laceration shot.
Right.
Good morning to each of you. The core issues are simple, but everything else about this case isn't. In a very real sense, this case is about pretense and appearances. The defendant says that Kathleen Peterson's death was caused by a tragic, accidental fall downstairs in their home. And we say, on the other hand, that she died a horrible, painful death at the hands of her husband, Michael Peterson. I've selected a couple of pictures for you that really, in my mind, show this diametric opposition. The first photograph I'm going to show you is of Kathleen. This would have been taken. This is how she would have looked prior to December the 9th of 2001, had you seen her in her home or possibly at work. You can see from this photograph, you can feel from this photograph that she's a very genteel, warm person. Now, on December the 9th of 2001, at 2:48, when EMS personnel first arrive, they see Kathleen Peterson in a completely different way. They see her lying at the bottom of her steps, just as you see in this photograph. Now, later that day, after her body has been removed from the home, she's taken to the medical examiner's office. This is one of the first photographs taken of her as she's lying on a steel gurney in the medical examiner's office after they've shaved her head so that they can determine where the wounds are. This is where the rubber meets the road, ladies and gentlemen. They say it's an accident that was caused by a couple of falls in that stairway, and we say it's not. We say it's murder. You heard Mr. Rudolph talk with you about the fact that we didn't have a weapon. That's true. We don't have the actual implement that Mike Peterson used to cause this injury, wounding, lacerations to the back of Kathleen's head. But we have an identical replica. Where did we get it? Kathleen's sister Candace gave several family members a blowpoke, just like this one. Kathleen had had this in her home for years and years and years and years. But mysteriously, on December the 9th, it's gone. It's hollow, it's light, it's easily used, and we will contend to you this, or something like this, is the article that was used to inflict these wounds.
The blow poker that had been given to Kathleen 15 years before, apparently, and was now mysteriously missing. We'll hear about whether it's mysterious or not. They didn't find any murder weapon. Nothing was found. Where did it go? Where did this blow poker go? They searched his cars. There wasn't any blood in the cars. They went all around the house. There wasn't any blood upstairs. He didn't change his clothes. He didn't... Where did he get rid of it? And when? That's left mysterious. Well, we don't convict people based on mysterious here. I mean, can you imagine somebody beating somebody over the head, whacking them as hard as they can? Because you don't whack somebody like this when you're trying to kill them. Imagine that there's no skull fracture. There's no brain contusions. There's no swelling of the brain. There's none of the internal hemorrhages, subdurals, things like that that you would see from that kind of injury. No, none of them. We intend to show you during this trial, to the best of our ability, what happened in that stairway on December 9th was a tragic accident. An accident that left Michael Peterson, not a wealthy man, but a very poor man, in the thing that was most important to him. It left him without his soulmate. Kathleen and Michael connected in a way that a few people who are really, really lucky in life have a chance to connect. And they built a family, the two of them, built a family out of the strands of their prior families. Todd on the left, Kathleen and Michael, Margaret sort of peeking out from the back there, Caitlin in the front, Clayton and Martha. What kept them together, what caused them to build that, was a love that absolutely everyone who saw them or knew them